All right, everyone. Welcome to the Elmore Elementary School Transitional Kindergarten and Kindergarten Orientation. This is a webinar, so we are allowing chats and questions to the panelists. My name is Chris Duddy. I'm the principal here at Elmore Elementary School, and I'll be leading today's presentation. And we have Sandy Bandettini, who will also be helping out today. She is our early learning specialist, and she has a wealth of information and knowledge for our school district. So I'm going to share my screen here with our presentation. I know it's not necessarily on presentation mode, but I like this mode better. Hopefully everyone can see that, and you will be able to, if you can't, just put something in the chat or ask a question, and I'll be happy to change the view for you. So first things first, as I said, welcome everyone. And hopefully by attending today's presentation, you're going to learn about the requirements, and your questions about TK and K will be answered. So you'll know what to expect when the school year starts next year on August 23rd. Speaking of next year, it will be my 31st year in education, either as a teacher, a guidance specialist, assistant principal, or principal. I began as an English teacher at a high school in Brea, and then I kind of moved my way up, if you will, and I started working at Thurston Middle School here in Laguna Beach in 1998 as an assistant principal. And then I became principal at Thurston, and next year will be my 17th year as the principal here at Elmore. It's a wonderful school, and one of the things that makes it wonderful is the people who work here. So we have a tremendous group of teachers and staff members who work here at the school. And one thing that I forgot to mention, that tremendous group of people is what allowed us to become recognized as a national blue ribbon school in 2019. So we're very proud of that recognition. Today's agenda, we're going to go over the registration procedures. We're going to talk a little bit about school safety, because I know lots of parents have questions about that. Transportation, the bell schedule, what it looks like when a student is ready for kindergarten or transitional kindergarten. And then we hope to have time at the end for some questions and answers. So first of all, when you're registering your child, a lot of you have registered already. Thank you very much. You complete the online registration first. And then once you've done that, we get a notification that you've completed the online portion of the registration. And then we need you to send all of these documents listed here. We hope you can send them to Mary Stinnett, our registrar, all at one time. And so those are a copy of your driver's license, a verification of your residency. That's very important in Laguna Beach. And let me tell you why. We're a community funded school district. And so taxpayers in the community, a portion of that tax that you pay on your property goes to fund our school district. And so that's why it's so important that we have a verification of residency on file, so that we're serving those people who live within our school district boundaries. We'd also like a copy of your child's birth certificate to confirm their birthday and age, and then current immunization records. Those need to be up to date before children can start school. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the presentation. And then each child needs an oral or dental exam and a physical exam as well before they start school. We have some paperwork where the doctor needs to sign off that they've been seen either by the dentist or the pediatrician. And then we'd like you to fill out that online questionnaire, because that gives us information about your child. It gives us background on them, and it helps us with creating the classes to hopefully make them as balanced as possible. We try to balance the classes with boys and girls. that doesn't always work perfectly. Obviously, we don't have control over how many boys and girls get registered, but and balance with the backgrounds of who's been in school, preschool, who hasn't been in preschool. So we try to balance those things as well. And it also lets us know if your child's participated in any special programs. We'd love to have all of these documents completed and turn them all in at one time to finalize your registration. And we can't place your child in a classroom next year until all of these things are turned in and complete. We would like that as soon as possible because that will give us an idea of planning for next year, how many students we can expect. And so therefore I know how many classrooms and how many teachers to have available for our TK and kindergarten classrooms. Next, I always like to talk about school safety. Our school is very safe, but as we know, we want the safest school we can possibly have for our students and staff. And so one of the ways we do that is we have regular safety checks. Our custodians and maintenance workers check the campus daily. We do live in an area here where there's wild animals around here. And when I say that, things like maybe a snake or a bobcat or a coyote or something like that, we always check and make sure that the campus is free from any wild animals. And we do ongoing safety drills or emergency drills. So we have fire drills and earthquake drills that we participate in, and the students may not have done that before. So we talk them through it. The teachers have talked them through it before, like what's an earthquake drill, what's a fire drill, and those kinds of things. So we practice evacuating, we practice duck, cover, and hold on, and things like that. You can see there on our screen that we have two safety school resource officers. That's Officer Ashley and Officer Fred there with one of our students. So they serve all the schools in Laguna Beach, and they certainly serve El Moro. We also have a safety committee that meets monthly to discuss any issues that come up and review any goals that we have. So we keep our fence that encircles the campus. We make sure that's in working order, that it's all secure, and those kinds of things. So that's one of the things the safety committee does. And then when parents, right now, parents are not allowed on campus. And that's because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We can't have a lot of interaction and things like that. But when parents are allowed to return to campus, we have something called the Raptor visitor check-in system. So you will need your either state issued ID or driver's license. And we do have parents put that in our check-in system, and then it prints out a visitor's pass for you. All visitors must come through the office. People are not allowed to wander the campus. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have a fence and gates that encircle the entire campus. And once the school day starts, those are all closed and locked. The only door that's open is our office door. So if you're coming to the campus, you must come in through there. And that's where you would come to either check in a late child or check out a student if they had to leave school for some reason before the end of the day. The last thing that I like to tell all parents is that, it's hard for me to see beyond the school campus here. So parents are driving to and from the school every day. And so if you see something, say something. It's always important to let me know if you see someone hanging out on the perimeter of the campus or something that's just not right. So you also have an active role in the safety of our campus. Sandy, is there a question?
No questions yet. I just put in the chat that we wanted parents to write any questions they have. So not yet.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to talk about transportation. So TK and kindergarten students can ride the school bus. Everyone riding the school bus must have a bus pass with a designated bus stop. So when you sign up for your bus pass, I think you're allowed to put 2 or 3 bus stops on there. In case you have a family with 2 homes, those would be where you would want your child dropped off, obviously, and then maybe the Boys and Girls Club. But having just 1 stop is just fine. Bus passes are purchased online through the school district website. They're not available at this time. They won't be available until the summer. And students who are registered then will begin to be able to purchase a bus pass. And then you can ride the bus in the morning to school. You can ride the bus only in the afternoon, or you can go round trip. So there are several options for bus passes, and the prices are a little different each way. I'm not sure about the pricing yet next year, but I can tell you it's a pretty good deal. Round trip was about $335 in the past. And if you talk about gas prices and all that good stuff for 180 days of riding to the school, that's not bad. Right now, because of limited capacity, there was a question in the chat there about will there be a wait list for bus passes? I heard there was limited availability in the past. So this year there was limited availability because due to the spacing requirements for the pandemic, we were only allowed to have about 14 kids on the bus at the beginning of the year. We just were able to add a little bit more. We're usually able to house about 65 to 75 children on the buses. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet. And when we have that full capacity, there's usually not a waiting list. But due to the restrictions on the capacity this year, there was a waiting list. For TK and kindergarten, there must be an adult to meet them at the bus stop when they're getting off the bus. So it's important to be on time. The bus schedule is a tricky thing, right? It might say that they'll be home at, let's say you had a kid in the PM program for TK, and it says they'll be there at about 2:45 or 2:50. It's hard to tell in Laguna Beach. Sometimes the traffic will be heavy and they'll be later. Sometimes there isn't any traffic and they'll be a little bit early. So, or just right on time. So you need to have an adult that has some time there and is going to be responsible for meeting the child when they get off the bus and making sure they get home safely. Kindergarten, same thing. We do serve all of the branches of the Boys and Girls Club. And so the buses do go to the Boys and Girls Club. Brittany, you'll be able to purchase the bus passes over the summer. Right now, we're still in this school year, so you don't want to get the wrong pass. So once the school year ends and about middle of June, you'll be able to start purchasing bus passes for next year. I do want to let parents know you can drive and drop off your children as well. Right now, you can't get out of the car, but we have plenty of staff members out here in the parking lot. We have a real specific traffic pattern that we will share with you over the summer where the appropriate drop-offs are. And basically, if you're coming from the south or Laguna Beach, the city of Laguna Beach, you'll come north on Coast Highway and make the first right into the parking lot. And then you'll travel through the middle of the parking lot up to the traffic circle right here outside of my office. And you'll drop your students off right in front of the kindergarten playground and TK playground. They get out of the car, they walk directly into the playground. And if it's here before school, or they will start to play with some of their friends before class starts. We don't have a lot of parking. We have 77 parking spots total in our parking lot. And we have about 60 staff members who are here throughout the day. So it doesn't leave too many extra parking spots for you. So, you may be able to park and walk in next year. I'm not sure yet because of the pandemic, but we do take good care of the children, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Once they get out of the car, we'll have staff members out there as well as on the playground to help supervise them. Did I mention that there's always traffic at schools? If you've never been to a school before, having a specific start time, like 7:55, 8 o'clock, means that everyone is arriving around the same time. So please plan ahead and leave plenty of time for traffic. There is a line that develops And the earlier you get here, the less of a line there will be. One great thing about kindergarten is that it starts later than the 1st through 5th grade classes. Our 1st through 5th grade classes start at 7:55, and our kindergarten starts at 8:15. So we did that to stagger traffic. So kindergartners should arrive between 7:55 and 8:15 in the morning, and there should not be a problem with traffic at that time. If you have another child, like an older child, sibling, and you certainly can drop them off both at the same time. So here's our regular transitional kindergarten bell schedule. They start at 7:55 for the early birds, if you will, or the morning session, and they get dismissed at 11:25. We do have a recess period in there, as you can see, where the kids can eat a snack. And then our late start, they start at 9:55. They go to 2:17, except on Wednesdays, our normal schedule. Wednesday is an early out day for teacher collaboration. Their day looks a little longer because when they arrive, there's a recess going on. And then they also have a lunch period in there. So when you're packing snacks and lunches for your TK and kindergarten students, make sure it's something that they like, and you don't need to pack them a big meal because they won't eat the whole thing. And so in order to reduce waste and save you some money, I would suggest making them maybe even a half of a sandwich and maybe a fruit bar or something, or fruit or anything that they like. Make sure that they like it, because then they will eat it. They'll be excited and they'll want to go play, because recess is also at the same time. So that's why I said they don't need a big meal. They won't be sitting down for a long period of time to eat. Here's our kindergarten schedule. As I mentioned, it starts at 8:15. We have a recess, a lunch period, an afternoon recess, and then dismissal is at 2:10. So they also get dismissed a little bit earlier. So you come pick up here in the circle as well. And that way, again, they're separated from the 1st through 5th graders. It's easier to get in the car, get picked up. You can see some of the what we like to call enrichment classes. We have science lab or STEAM lab. We have chorus, library, technology. We do social emotional lessons, how to handle your feelings, art and PE throughout the week. You can see that our maximum class size in kindergarten is 25. In transitional kindergarten, we have an overlap model. So like you saw, we have the morning period and then the afternoon session, and those are capped at 16. And then during the overlap, it can go up to 32. And that is when we do all of these enrichment activities like PE, chorus, library, things like that. The academics take place when they're in their smaller groups. Gina, you have an older child, Jax. Yes, it'll be out on the blacktop. If you have a kindergarten student coming next year and you have an older sibling, then after the kids are put on the bus and in the cars over here, there's a staff member that walks the kindergartners with older siblings over to the pickup for 1st through 5th grade, so that they can wait together and then hop in your car when you're ready to pick them up. Good question. And then that leads us to Sandy here. Sandy, as I mentioned, is our early learning specialist, and she would like to talk to you about the program that she runs here in Laguna Beach.
Thank you, Chris. So nice to see everyone. I actually see a couple parents that have attended our parent webinars, so that's really exciting. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I am the early learning specialist for the Laguna Beach Unified School District. I provide parent education, developmental screenings for children 0 to 5, community outreach support to local preschools and moms groups. I offer a Learning Link program. This year we weren't able to offer it due to COVID, but really hoping to offer that next year. And it's an early learning program for children and their parents, 2.5 to 5. And then last but not least, I'm here to support TK and kindergarten transition. So if you are a parent with any question whatsoever, please reach out to me. We'll be sharing my email address. We understand this is a tender time for families. Some families were able to go to preschool, others were not. You might have questions. I love talking to parents. I would love to be an anchor for you and someone you can just talk and reach out to. So yeah, just a little bit about myself and our programs. If you're interested in anything that I offer, if you have even the simplest question, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Sandy. So as Sandy mentioned, as the specialist, this is what it's all about, right? Is setting your child up for success in their school career here. So we're going to talk about the following areas: classroom skills, social preparedness, responsibility and independence, being healthy and ready to learn, and that ever popular, sometimes term of separation anxiety.
Chris, we have a question.
Oh, okay.
Someone asks, will they be with their main teacher all 5 days instead of the cohort setup they currently have, and where they're only with their teacher twice a week?
So we are planning on having, well, I don't know exactly how to say this correctly. We are not planning on having cohorts next year. We are planning on having one classroom where the students are assigned with their teacher 5 days a week. So if we continue to make this positive progress that we're making against fighting the pandemic, and we keep moving into these less restrictive tiers, we'll be very happy to report that they'll be with one teacher 5 days a week. I think there might be another question.
So just a response, awesome.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Yeah, this is my slide right here. So I know with the pandemic, it's been a lot different for preschools and all different types of programs. But don't worry, because that's what we are specialists in here at the school, is teaching children all of these things. So our objectives are really early literacy skills, right? Identifying letters and sounds and writing their letters and sounds and being interested in all of that great stuff, as well as numeracy, right? Counting and writing and things like that. They'll learn their basic math facts. We teach science, which is my favorite subject in the world. And what we'd like to teach is a love of learning in school as well. So a couple things at the beginning of kindergarten, the kids should be able to sit and listen quietly for 10 to 20 minutes. We'll increase that as the school year progresses. We build their stamina for sitting quietly and listening. Of course, we want them to follow adult directions and listen to the adults that work here at the school and follow the safety rules, as I mentioned. Bathrooms, we have bathrooms for our little guys in some of the classrooms over here, and we have the big bathrooms here at the school that the students are allowed to use, obviously, and they need to do that on their own. Adults do not go in the bathroom with them, so the kiddos need to be able to use the bathroom without help. It's always helpful if they can do their pants and do all the buttons on their shirts and things like that and their zippers. So they can come out of the bathroom appropriately, and obviously putting on and taking off the jackets. I'm going to say this and you guys aren't going to listen to me, but please write their name on everything, okay? I end up with a pile of beautiful clothes at the end of the year because they don't have names on them. Most clothing, jackets and such, have a place to write your child's name on them. Please write it on there if they're going to wear it to school. It's cold in the morning here, and then it gets hot in the afternoon, and the kids love to rip off their jacket, and of course they just throw it wherever they're at that time. So if it doesn't have the name, and they can never recognize their own jacket either. So if it doesn't have I shouldn't say never. Rarely can they recognize their own jacket. So it's very helpful to put their name on it. Obviously, for classroom readiness, we want them to be able to recognize and know their name. We're going to teach them how to write their name and last name. If they know some colors and shapes, of course, that'd be awesome. They don't have to know all of them. We'll be happy to teach that to them. And we, again, as I mentioned, as long as they have that interest in learning, then that curiosity, which most kindergarten TK students have naturally, they'll be just fine. Sandy, you want to take this one?
Sure, happy to. So some of these are a repeat, and then some are a bit different. But these are some ideas for you to have a greater awareness in terms of what we're looking for in the classroom setting. So in terms of your student going into the TK and kindergarten classes, we're really looking for children who have had experience working in a group. A lot of what they do in TK and kindergarten is small group based. So just kind of understanding that your child will be asked to work with others and have that, will need that skill set. They don't need to be perfect at it, right? But just have a basic experience of that. Again, as Mr. Duddy mentioned, the ability to listen well to adults. In a typical TK and kindergarten class and school setting experience, your child will be exposed to a lot of different adults, not just their teacher or teacher's assistants, but coaches and librarians. And so the ability to listen not only will help them learn, but it will also help them stay safe. So, thank you for working on that with your little one before they start school. Also, the ability to share and take turns with peers, communicate effectively. Of course, we're not expecting your child to communicate like an adult, right? But if they are in a situation where they need to ask a simple question or problem solve, just the ability to do that. And that can even look like, raising their hand or gesturing or saying a couple words. And if your child hasn't developed that yet, there's still lots of time, right, before school starts. As Chris mentioned, the ability to focus for short periods of time is an incredible skill to have when you start TK in kindergarten. And that looks like, being able to focus and walk in a line, right, from one place to the next. Or a lot of times in TK in kindergarten, your child will be given a simple worksheet, right? So sitting and starting a worksheet. You don't have to complete it, right? But being able to focus for a bit of time, or sitting on a carpet and listening to a story, also very important. Demonstrating self-control, again, solving problems and recognizing their name. And it's not just on paper or a jacket, but if I called your son or daughter's name, would they respond to me, right? And so if they are still challenged by that, again, practicing that when you're at home would be helpful. So thanks, Chris.
Some social emotional milestones. We were talking about academics earlier, but being able to separate from parents confidently, managing their emotions, right? Not having a temper tantrum, those kinds of things if something doesn't go their way. This is a big one. I'm going to talk a little bit about this more when I talk about making friends, is respecting others, playing cooperatively, which looks like sharing and taking turns, working independently on simple tasks so they don't need adult help for everything. So parents, that means let them practice this at home. Don't do everything for your child. Give them the opportunity to work on doing things independently, whether it's eating or getting dressed or combing their hair, whatever it is. Give your child a chance. I know I was guilty of this sometimes when my kids were young. I would want to do everything for them. And then I would catch myself and say, wait a minute, they're going to need to learn to do this on their own. So I'm going to let them do it on their own. And it might not be the way you want it done, but that's how they learn independence. So you really have to give them some simple tasks that they can complete and ask and answer questions. So this is the one I was talking about where it might be a little bit of repetition, but this is something that you can do to help get your child ready for kindergarten. And I think the best way to do that is through literacy and literature. So books about making best friends, how to be a good friend. A lot of talk about this Because one of the things I love about kindergartners is they want to be friends with everybody. And so learning how to be a good friend is important. Okay. So you can read books about sharing and taking turns, saying please and thank you. How to make new friends. You can have a role play with them. Like, what do you say? Hey, what's your name? And teaching them how to tell everyone what their name is. Reinforce those friendship concepts, again, through literature, caring, helping, and sharing. So I think a big focus when we get to the beginning of school is how to make some friends. And I think the kids love making friends. So I really enjoy that about them. Whoops. There we go. So responsibility and independence would be going to the bathroom on their own, shutting the door, washing their hands, and then coming out ready. So another way that you can build responsibility and independence is letting the kids do that and giving them small jobs and age appropriate jobs at home to build them a sense of accomplishment and responsibility. We've listed some there for you. And then having them making day-to-day choices as well. What do they want to wear in the morning? Now, I recommend that you do this the night before. So when kids are getting dressed in the morning, so you don't have a fight with them in the morning when time is limited and you need to get to school or get to wherever you're going. So I recommend picking out clothes the night before and then having it all laid out. So when the kids get up in the morning, they already know what you're going to wear. And then again, having them put on their own jacket, learning to tie their shoes, opening their snacks and lunch boxes or juice boxes themselves. And the only materials that your kids will need are a backpack and a lunchbox. We supply all the other materials here at the school, the pencils, papers, and books, and all that good stuff. They'll even have an iPad for their use in their classroom. We supply all those things. So again, all you'll need is for school shopping over the summer is a backpack that's appropriate size for a kindergartner or a TK student, and a lunchbox or a snack bag. All right, Sandy, I think this one's you.
Yeah, and thank you, Chris. It's interesting. I've attended these over the last 4 or 5 years, and I learn something every time. And I'm just reminded that what we're talking about today can be things parents can start on today, right? Thinking about kindergarten, thinking about TK, that should be something that you should be thinking about starting today, and doing simple things to really support and encourage that. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how to be healthy and ready to learn. I have always thought and experienced a healthy and happy child is a successful student, bottom line. If a parent says to me, gosh, Sandy, what should I do over the summer? I say, love your child, love your child, love your child. Have fun. Notice when they're happy. Notice what's inspired them. So here are some things that you can do to really support that, right? So making sure, as Mr. Duddy has mentioned, that your immunizations are up to date and that you've done your routine medical and dental checkups. We absolutely understand that we have been in a difficult time, and for a lot of people, they've postponed some of those things. But now that things are opening up, it's time to get those things started. And as Mr. Duddy mentioned, the sooner we get these items secured for you and in your file, the better off you'll be, because then all you have to think about is, really getting that backpack and lunchbox and showing up for school, right? So over the summer, really making sure you have your immunizations up to date, your routine medical and dental checkups. Before you start school, making sure your child has a nutritious breakfast and packing a healthy snack. I like what Mr. Duddy said about packing what your children love. Starting school isn't the time to start new healthy habits, right? Just like it's not the time to start healthy sleep habits. Those are things you need to start now, but packing an appropriate lunch. For some kids, they have a strong appetite. So packing what they would normally eat for a snack or lunch is what's appropriate. I have also attached some links here to give you more information and resources about those ideas. Another thing you can do to support your child's growth and development in a smooth transition to school would be to create a family schedule. So over the summer, have a big poster board, right? And write down what you guys will be doing during the day. And then a couple weeks before you start school, really creating a schedule that will support a school schedule, getting your child on a regular sleep routine. Sleep is so important to your child's development, and it will impact how they do in school. And so really doing some things to support that. A family schedule is a great way to really anchor your family and support your child's nervous system. And then last but not least, stay active, not just during the summer, but as your child transitions to school, make sure you make time each and every day to go outside and enjoy the sunshine, to build their fine and gross motor skills and their love of fresh air, because these are things that also impact school readiness. What my family used to do is my kids would come home, do a bit of homework, and then we'd go outside and play for a couple hours. And then they were ready for dinner, and then, bath and story time. But setting up those rituals and those things that you can do will really support their growth and their development and their success in school. So thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Sandy. So we've talked a lot about these things, and I know it's a little bit of repetition, but I want to emphasize these things, that the health and immunization requirements are not something that Sandy and I just made up. These are required by the state of California for students of school age. So you do need to get your immunizations. And as Sandy said, the sooner you start on that, the better, because if you wait to the last minute, there will not be a lot of appointments in August when everyone's looking to start school. So make sure you get those up to date. We're going to share some more information about that. We have the forms available here at the school and online for your oral and physical health examinations. You take that form with you when you go to your doctor or dentist, and they should be very familiar with this form, and they'll give the child a physical or a dental examination, and they sign off that they're all good to go and that they've been seen. And these items that are starred or asterisked here, they are all required before your child can attend class. We have a little check sheet right here, and you can find this information online as well, of the types of immunizations that they will need. These are the ones up here, obviously, that are needed for TK and K. And then later on, they need some follow-up in 7th grade and middle school. I'll share this on the website, and there's links in here where you can see what the children need for immunizations. Uh-oh.
Looks like we have a question.
Yeah, what do you got?
Do we need another dental health form filled out if it was already done in TK this year?
No.
Great. So for those folks that attended TK, you don't need to do that.
All this done. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So the most important thing regarding separation anxiety is to be excited for your children to start school and make it, obviously it is a milestone, but make it an exciting thing. Do not talk about negative school experiences in front of your children. We have all had them, but these kids are like sponges, and don't think they aren't listening to what you're saying to your friends when you're talking at the park, in the car, on the phone, at home, in the backyard, in the neighborhood. They can hear everything you're saying, and they pick up on that. So if you have anxiety about them starting school, they will pick up on that. So please do not talk about these things in front of your child. Talk about positive school experiences, making friends, meeting their teachers, learning, and all the fun stuff that they get to do. Okay? And so stay calm. Even if your child's anxious, that's normal. Parents being anxious, that's normal. Children being anxious, again, these are normal feelings. And so the more we can normalize these things, and that everything will be okay, and reassure the children that they'll be okay. So one of the ways, if a child is having some anxiety, is to have a ritual to say goodbye, front load them on what's going to happen when they come to school. Okay. We're going to drive up, we're going to drop you off, and we're going to say goodbye. I'm going to kiss you on the cheek. I'm going to kiss my hand and put it on your forehead. I'm going to blow you a kiss. I'm going to say, I love you. And then you're going to get out of the car, whatever the ritual is. And the quicker that you can leave, even if your child's lip is quivering or whatever, the better off you'll be. I know that's difficult. We deal with this all the time. We see it every year. And the parents who are able to bite their own lip and just leave, their kids are fine once they leave. It's when you do that kind of hesitation thing, the kid's always going to go back to mom or dad. So if you can just leave them, and then they will learn to get along, okay? And most of the time, they are just fine. And why do you think we ask for all of your phone numbers and contacts and things like that? Because if there is some sort of an issue, we will definitely reach out and contact you. Sometimes it's nice to have something meaningful from home in their bag to give them a little security, whether it's a little doll or a little something. I don't like them bringing toys to school, but if there's something you can put in there that makes them a little more comfortable about being at school and away from home, that can be helpful. And then the first day of school next year is going to be a parent and child day, so that we ease them into this. Right, the first day you come to school with your child, you will see the classroom, they will see the classroom, you'll get to meet the teacher, we'll have them play out on the playground with the children while we are talking to you as parents in the classroom, and making sure we have everything we need. How they're getting home the next day, are they riding the bus, are they a pickup, all that good stuff. So then the second day is when the real McCoy, if you will, starts, and we asked for a short goodbye and the child to come independently. Kids are very resilient. They are able to do things that we sometimes don't expect that they will. And so I want you to know that, the kids do a great job of learning the ropes here at school, and they can handle it. So give them credit for doing that. I always let the parents know that this is a joke, so please have a sense of humor about this, that there's two types of parents. When after that first day of school, when they drop their kid off at kindergarten and drop their kid off at transitional kindergarten, there's one type of parent that peels out of the parking lot, burning rubber, and says, woohoo, freedom for 3 hours, 5 hours, whatever it is, right? Calls their friends, says, let's go get a cup of coffee, that kind of thing. And then there's those parents that just won't leave, that want to peek in the playground and see how they're doing and things like that. And so that one's a little harder. I won't let you stay in, hide in the bushes and peek in and see how they're doing and spy on them. So I'm sorry, you can't do that. But it is a little funny sometimes to see. So to help ease separation anxiety for both you and your child, we have literature is a great way to do that. Looking at these books, there are so many books in the library about starting school, first day of school, countdown to kindergarten, first day jitters, the kissing hand, owl babies, all these great books are wonderful resources for you to read with your child. And as Sandy said, love your child before school. I say read, 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 in addition to loving your child before the first day of school. Here's some more books that get you ready for kindergarten. Kindergarten Rocks, When You Go to Kindergarten, Kindergarten Countdown. These are all great books. Your librarians at the Laguna Beach Library, any Orange County library, they are very familiar with these. You can go online if the libraries are closed. There's lots of books online. We have a friendly office staff here. They're actually listening in on today's presentation. And we have Kathy Miranda, my assistant. We have Mary Stinnett, who you will be communicating with for enrollment and registration. She also does our attendance. We have a district nurse, Pam Madge, and our health clerk, Teresa Chavez. And we also have a school counselor. We're fortunate enough to have a school counselor here, and her name is Mary Ann Lawson. So she gives some social emotional lessons and pointers to the students in the classroom. I think there was another question, Sandy. No?
Yeah, she said, will this presentation and book list be available?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we're going to post it online. Now, I said the 24th, but I think I messed up. I believe it is the 23rd. Let me look that up really quick. I think it's the 23rd. I apologize for that. I'm going to confirm that right here on my calendar on my trusty iPhone here.
Jack Brewer.
So now is a great time if you have any questions.
Yeah, one of the things I did want to mention before we dive into the questions is, I really appreciated when you shared those resources for parents about that, not just kindergarten readiness, but the transition to school. It's been my experience that families are closer now more than ever. And so, just creating some awareness of how the transition to school might impact you. It can be both a really exciting time and it can also be a tenderhearted time. I know for me it was. I have an 18 and a 20-year-old, and I still think back to that experience, right? So, and just know that the teachers and the staff at the school have all had that same experience. And so, just remembering that as you transition to school and you hand your sweet one over to us, know they will be taken good care of, and know that the people working with them have had similar experiences, and we think about those things, right? And I think, Mr. Duddy, you would agree to that this has been a year like we've never seen, and yet we're all into this together and we're all here to support you. So just wanted to mention that. I see some questions for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to stop the share for just a moment.
Oh.
Okay. And yeah, I do. Okay. Yeah, the presentation and book list will be put online for you to see. Um, uh, hello, Brittany. Good to see you. We have some returnees. Usually when we are in person and we're at orientation, I ask for people who have had students go through kindergarten before and people who it's the first time. And so that you can see that they do survive this, right? It's like we have our experienced parents, and then we have our first time parents, and we all come from a different place, and that's okay because we meet you right where you're at, okay? The school calendar is on our website. It's already posted on there. Good question there. And it's lbusd.org for Laguna Beach Unified School District.org. The calendars are listed on there. Another question. It'd be best if you just come with you and your student for that first day orientation. We really want the focus to be on what needs to be done. It's only about an hour long or so, so we don't have a lot of time for interruptions or anything like that. So it'd be best if you could come just with your child and not a younger sibling. If it's an emergency, of course, we would understand, but the best thing to do would be come with just you and your student. I don't see, oh, I do want to share this with everyone. So we are community partners with the Boys and Girls Club of Laguna Beach, and they have great after school programs for childcare. And as I mentioned earlier, the buses go to both Lang Park and the Canyon Branch, and they do things like sports and art and socialization. They open up right after our programs end So they'll have staff there ready to greet you. And it's a great environment for kids. You can sign up during the summer as well. It goes by the week. You can see the fees there. We have the Bluebird branch and the Canyon branch. I don't know why I call it Lang Park, but they've had different locations in the past. And signups will be available in June if you wanted to do a school year membership. And you can contact Stephen. There's his email address, Stephen T at boysandgirlsclublaguna.org.
Looks like we have a question, Chris. Will there be any after-school clubs next year? Thank you.
We don't have after-school clubs for kindergarten. Our after-school clubs start for first graders. So it starts in 1st through 5th grade for after-school clubs. And we are hoping to have a few after-school clubs next year. Again, it depends on what tier we're in and sort of where we're at with all the health restrictions or safety restrictions that we have in place. I do anticipate students having to wear face coverings. The kids were great about it this year. They got used to it very fast. So having a face covering will be required next year. Washing your hands often will be required next year. We always like that for good hygiene. And keeping at least 3 feet apart from other students. We'll be sitting them at least 3 feet apart. It's hard for them to stay 3 feet apart on the playground. We encourage them to, but just know that they'll probably get a little bit closer than that. That was our question. And the last thing I wanted to share was how to get a hold of us down here. Here is my email address down at the bottom, and there is Sandy's email address. If you have any questions that you think of after today's presentation, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to answer them. And that concludes today's presentation. So I'll be happy to stay on here if you have any more questions to put in the chat. If not, I look forward to meeting you in person soon. Thank you for coming to today's orientation. I did see a question pop in there, Sandy. There it is.
I showed up late to this. Have you talked about what you expect the class size to be? Great question.
Yeah, we did talk about class size. In kindergarten, it's 25-1 maximum. And we were nowhere near that this year. I don't know if it was because of the pandemic or what have you, but you can expect class size somewhere about 20 kids, maybe 22 for kindergarten. Transitional kindergarten is the maximum size is 32. And that's because we have a half-day split program where kids come in the morning and they also come in the afternoon. So in the morning time, when we do academics for those AM kids, it's just 16 kids. Then they come and they have when the afternoon kids come, there's an overlap, and it can go up to 32 at that time. And that's when we do things like PE, music, science lab, different things like that. Actually, we don't do science lab at that time, but they can because we want them to have a smaller experience with that. But we do PE, music, computers, library, things like that during that overlap time if you're a TK. And then the morning kids go home and the afternoon kids go back with the teacher to do their academics.
So we have another question. I think we've answered this one. Will they have to wear a mask? If they still do, I'm hoping they'll be able to take them off for outdoor time.
Well, it all depends on what the California Department of Public Health, what their guidelines are at that time. As far as I know, like I mentioned earlier, we're very excited that the students will have one classroom. We won't have to split each classroom in half like we did this year. And things are looking up, but I do anticipate students having to wear face coverings. They can take them off, obviously, at lunchtime to eat their lunch and drink their fluids. But when they're done with that, they do need to wash their hands and put their face covering back on.
I know we've got one more.
Mhm.
When will we know if our child is in the early morning or late morning group? Are we given a choice? Thank you.
Yeah, good question. So for TK, remember TK is the only one with the early morning and late. For TK, when you're registering, please let us know if morning or afternoon works better for your schedule. We do that for work and childcare only, not because you want to sleep in or not because it's just you like one better than the other. So we try to accommodate parent schedules for work and childcare. So if morning's going to work better for you, let us know. If afternoon's going to work better for you and TK, let us know. We're usually able to accommodate that. And then one other thing that I need to let you know is we don't take teacher and friend requests. We cannot accommodate. So I apologize for that.
We have another person asked about the masks. Seems to be a topic people are interested
Yeah.
in.
If you missed that, they will right now this year we are wearing masks the entire time. The only reason I have mine off is because I'm in my office with the door closed, and probably it'd be hard to understand me if I had my mask on right now. But they do wear the masks in the classroom when they're in groups and with other students. And at this time, based on what I know from the California Department of Public Health, students will be required to wear masks next year.
Another question, will you be posting this presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Once I clean it up, we'll post this presentation. And next week on April 21st in the evening at 6 o'clock, I'll be doing another orientation. That orientation is for all new students, not just TK and K, but first through fifth grade as well. It's the same type of presentation. I'll add some more information for first through fifth grade. But if you've attended this one, you don't need to attend that one as well. It's for parents who might have been working at this time and need a nighttime opportunity, and for the other grade levels as well. All right, everybody, that takes us to about an hour, a few minutes short. So I am going to sign off. Thank you for coming to our presentation, and we look forward to meeting you soon.